We would choose the word cool if we had to sum up the Toyota MR2 in one word. The two-seat mid-engine economical sports car that Toyota debuted in the 1980s was well received. It was the only automobile available at the time. The MR2 is now the only reasonably priced mid-engine Japanese sports vehicle offered in the United States. Cheap Japanese sports automobile with a mid-engine available in the US. Let's face it, if you're considering an MR2, you are not also considering a Honda NSX. That one will not be discussed at this time. The Mazda Miata has been and always will be the MR2's true competitor. The MR2 could be thought of as a more eccentric and distinctive Miata, but the W30 or MR2 Spider, the third-generation MR2, has always stood out as the outlier. But could this be the very cause of the current increased popularity? Let's find out. The Toyota MR2 Spider is a long-forgotten mid-engine roadster chassis that deserves more credit than it has ever earned. However, owner of the Lotus Elise are aware of how similar the MR2 is to the Elise in every way. It was created to provide drivers interested in having a more recognizable brand and platform with the Toyota name at a lower price point, even though it isn't a totally affordable ripoff of the car. The car compares favorably to the Elise for what it has to offer, making it the poor man's Lotus Elise, even though it doesn't quite offer the same performance and handling. With their more compact and reasonably priced mid-engine automobiles such as the 914 X 1x9 and Fiero, manufacturers like Porsche, Fiat, and Pontiac were quickly gaining appeal in the early 1980s. Toyota developed its own mid-engine sports car after taking inspiration from them and attempting to design a fresh version. The MR2 concept car, known as the SV3, made its debut at the Toyota Auto Show. The SV3 was carefully constructed and designed in contrast to the majority of concept automobiles, which is why it was quickly put into production with few changes. It was released the very next year with a few minor modifications. Toyota's MR2 proved to be a significant turning point for the company and helped to rank among the most popular performance vehicles, thanks largely to its appeal to young consumers. The W30 generation is affectionately known as Frog. In MR2 circles, if you look at the front end long enough, you will understand. It was marketed from the 2000 through 2005 model years and was a vastly different vehicle than the earlier MR2. Sales of the SW20, the MR2's second generation, ended in the United States in 1995. After 1994, you couldn't even purchase a turbo model in California emission states. The SW20 was a compelling driver's car, but it had some serious flaws that ultimately doomed it. Given that it was made with Toyota Celica components, it was too pricey and heavy. It was a complicated vehicle with numerous quirks. As a result, there were substantial revisions when Toyota re-released the vehicle in the United States 5 years later with a new generation. The Corolla platform, which is less expensive and lighter, replaced the Celica base for the Spider. The W30 was reminiscent of the original AW11 MR2 from the 1980s as a result. It underlined that the key to its success is simplicity and little weight, a startling 700 or so pounds less than its predecessor, the Frog. It is a few dozen pounds less than the original AW11 with a curb weight of 2,195 pounds, so that you can see what Toyota is concentrating on with regards to design. But in order to achieve this low-weight simplicity, trade-offs had to be made. 200 horsepower and 200 pound-feet of torque were produced by the SW20 Turbo. However, the next generation's emissions rules choked Toyota. Thus, the 1.8-liter 1ZZ 4-cylinder would be the only engine option for the W30. The 1ZZ in the MR2 Spider generates 125 pound-feet of torque at 4,400 RPM and 138 horsepower at 6,400 RPM. The SW20 Turbo had aggressively decreased in size. The non-turbo 5S FE option featured in the SW20 was preferable overall to the 1ZZ, but it was the only option. This left many MR2 fans with a bad taste as a result. The Frog was not the fastest model, contrary to what is typically assumed about newer models. In a straight line, the SW20 Turbo would destroy the W30 thanks to its almost second faster sprint to 60 miles per hour. However, despite its impressive low weight, the W30 could only accelerate from 0 to 60 miles per hour in 6.8 seconds. The MR2 Spider's chassis is magnificent, despite the fact that power output is not its strongest point. The excellent mid-engine handling character of earlier generations is still there in the Spider. However, the infamous snap oversteer characteristic of the previous two versions is no longer present. The W30 is by far the most evenly matched MR2 on the market. The brakes can handle any type of sporty driving. Due to the Frog's light weight, they feel strong. The Spider is among the easiest two-seat sports vehicles to operate. It will be content to travel at 70 miles per hour. It is an enjoyable experience to connect to its delicate chassis. Definitely more personality than a Miata of comparable size and attractiveness. The AW11, the SW20, and the other one are common terms used by MR2 enthusiasts to describe the lineup. How come the W30 was always the outlier? The appearance of the MR2 Spider were a source of debate. It has a short hood and longer back end like the majority of mid-engine vehicles. The 80s boxy appearance of the AW11 was unmistakable. The SW20 is angular and svelte. The W30 is an odd mixture of both. You either love it or detest it because of its incredibly square portions. We'll be the first to say that we've grown to like the Frog's aesthetic. Toyota created the MR2 Spider by fusing modern technology with traditional sports car attributes. It had incredible agility and reactivity because of the mid-engine and a perfect wheelbase-to-length ratio. This configuration also gave the car a diabolical rear-end weight bias, which was a significant cause of snap oversteer, and nearly no understeer, which led to serious accidents. Additionally, Spider is not an exception. All MR2 versions have a reputation for having unpredictable snap oversteer. At first glance, having the engine in the middle seems like a smart idea because the car can now accelerate more quickly and handle more steadily. This is true for the Spider, but it might be catastrophic if it is not managed properly or if a novice driver is at the wheel. The automobile can spin off the road into the nearby tree, ditch, or worse, oncoming traffic in a matter of nanoseconds. The MR2 Spider is also dangerously quick, strong, and sharp. One of the fastest vehicles on the road, according to Top Speed, is the Spider. The engine produces a significant amount of power, particularly the turbocharged engines, which is not a problem on its own. But when paired with the Spider's relatively smaller weight, it makes expert car control abilities necessary to prevent exceeding the limitations. It won't give you much notice and will only take a split second to strip you of all control. Additionally, the car has awful traction problems all over it. It may be very challenging to drift the car at times without it snapping back, and this is made even more challenging by rain or slick road surfaces. Because of current safety regulations, there won't be another little mid-engine cheap sports car quite like the MR2 Spider. When Spider stopped manufacturing it in 2005, the door was shut in the US. There weren't many safety features on the vehicle. Only an electronic stability control, regular anti-skid brakes, and driver and passenger front airbags were included in the active safety features. There was no lane maintain assist or automatic emergency braking. Also excluded were driver attention detection, side curtain airbags, a reversing camera, and blind spot warning. It is simple to understand why the MR2 Spider is regarded as one of the world's most dangerous vehicles, given its incredibly short list of safety measures, reckless driving behaviors, and the lengthy line of teenage drivers eager to get their hands on a cheap, lightweight sports car. However, it is also true that there are a ton of fun to ride. When you depress the accelerator and feel the MR2 Spider bite into the road, your body releases a rush of testosterone and adrenaline. It almost makes you blind to the dangers that lie ahead. Nothing compares to the excitement of driving an MR2 Spider, despite how risky they are, as long as you exercise caution and avoid being surprised by the vehicle.